Hey everyone, welcome to the Hornet King channel. In this video, I'm going to be removing a true hornet's nest, Vespa crab roe, the European hornet, from the soffit of a client's house. Plus, I'm going to be giving you guys an update on this nest that I relocated back in a previous video to my barn. And this nest is now absolutely humongous, and I'm going to show you guys the progression from where it started to where it is today. Here's the video, guys. Check it out.
That's where home is. Oh yeah. Whew. That sounds like a cacophony of noises.
So the sound that I was hearing up inside the soffit is a mix between buzzing, rustling, and just a very angry swarm coming out from the soffit. And I knew that this was going to be a large, aggressive colony because of the sounds that I was hearing. So once I start pulling back some of this soffit, I was able to expose a little bit of the nest, but that also allowed for a lot of adults to come pouring out from around the cracks where I was trying to look through.
That's a big one.
That's what she said. LOL. So pulling this down, and you can see they just started pouring out of this little tiny opening. And it doesn't seem like much in the video. It looks like they kind of just like fall out of there. But when something that's 2 inches long starts swarming and pelting you in the back of the head and pelting at your screen or your veil and latching onto your gloves, and it is a bit unnerving. These things don't look like they're super aggressive, but since they are a larger wasp species, they kind of seem like they float. But they have a punch to them when they run into you from flying. Especially when they get a lot of inertia behind their flight. But look at the swarm around me. I mean, that is a lot of hornets. And luckily I wasn't paying too much of attention to the swarm. I mean, I was just trying to shoot the camera up, trying to get it. I wasn't sure how well it was gonna get that flight with the bleed out from the sky. But these two cameras that I've been using are shooting in 60 frames a second, so I was able to get some really good shots of the swarm from both the lower camera and from the camera I'm holding. I was really excited by this. Slowing down 60 frames a second frame rate makes for really good slow motion. I know it's not 120 frames at 180 at 1080p, but being at 60 frames in 4K, it really adds a lot of vivid detail to these hornets that are flying around at a pretty high rate of speed. And of course, when this is happening to you, they're flying around you so fast, you don't really get a chance to focus on any one individual. So it's neat to see this up close in the shot. And this is full speed, obviously. And all I had to do was just hold my vacuum nozzle just kind of up in the air, and they were flying right into the nozzle. But they also sprayed venom in my eye in the midst of all this, and it's just notorious for that, since they're trying to mark where the threat is. They latch onto the veil for a split second and shoot venom in, or they can actually shoot venom up to 1 meter in distance just from their ovipositor or stinger. So last year when I was doing a lot of my removals, I would take my time of pulling the envelope out by hand and throwing that into a bin by itself. But this season, I found that it's just much easier to just use the vacuum, just chop up the envelope and suck it right up into the vacuum canister itself, and along with the adult hornets. It's so much easier that way, because then you don't have to like worry about making a swarm and then trying to get the vacuum up in there and sucking up the adults as they come out. Once you start vacuuming up the envelope, you're exposing the adults from inside, and they're going right into the vacuum nozzle. I knew this colony was going to be a large colony just by how they were reacting once I pulled down the soffit the first time. But nothing really prepared me for how long this nest was going to be. It was about probably 14 to 16 inches long and about 4 stacks high of comb. And that was not including the 2 little satellite queen comb cells that were also attached to the bottom here. So this had a lot of potential to be a super huge colony by the end of the season. And it was already large. I mean, it's probably about 500 adults inside.
This nest is humongous.
The client was only standing about 20 to 30 yards behind me, sitting underneath a tree watching the whole thing and filming, and which was really exciting that they were super into the nest and the colony and learning a little bit about them. As terrified as they were, I give them a lot of credit for standing back there and checking out the activity and the swarm and everything else. And they stayed there the whole time, which is really cool. Pulling the nest down, it was a little bit wider than the hole that was there, so I had to kind of just like force it down.
Get your camera ready.
It probably broke off about maybe a ½ inch on either side of the edge of the comb. But I wasn't planning on saving any of this anyway, so it was going to be going right to the chickens. Showing it to the homeowner. They were super excited.
And that's it. Cool. Party's over. You're still going to probably see a couple floating around. Do you have any hornet spray by chance?
Yes.
I can spritz them up in the cavity. I'll deter them from going back in there.
I have that, and I have pesticide I'm going to spray everywhere after this.
You aren't taking any chances, are you?
Nope.
So these guys are coming back from foraging. They're just like, WTF. Yeah, where'd everybody go? I came back with food. I got pizza. Nobody's here. We got an ED problem with the can.
I have stuff that I can mix up.
I mean, I got it in the entranceway. That's kind of the main thing I was trying to do.
Alright, so as usual, once I get the nest home, check for a little bit of buzzing. It's buzzing inside. So we have to suck up any of the workers that are inside of there, and I'm going to be feeding these to the chickens and the squirrels. I just don't want anybody getting stung or swarmed or anything like that. So you got to break apart the comb, and that way I can get any adults that are in between the layers, because that's where they like to hide. Even if they're newly hatched adults especially, they like to hide in between the layers of comb. I do this with every nest that I bring home. I break them apart, and then, or separate them, and then suck up any of the adults, and then that way get them ready to give them to the girls. So these are 3 colonies that I relocated side by side, and they're basically making a condominium up here. Anytime I take apart nests near there, they freak out and they swarm. So this is just like a common occurrence. Being swarmed.
You girls don't scare me. Just get back to work.
wait. Oh, these. They want these? Yummy turkey. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Gobble, gobble, gobble. There you go, turkey. Hey, Daisy. Chip, chip. Oh, be nice, everybody. Be nice. Come on. Hey, Ginger. Humphrey. Humphrey. Oh, Squirrel, Squirrel. Are you gonna have some larvae, Squirrel, Squirrel? Are you gonna have some larvae, Squirrel, Squirrel? I know you like the European Hornet, Squirrel, Squirrel. Oh, Squirrel, Squirrel. Oh, Squirrel, Squirrel. Are those yummy larvae, Squirrel, Squirrel? You want the adult wasp, Squirrel, Squirrel? It's a feast for everyone. It's a feast for everybody. Is that good, Squirrel, Squirrel? Got nothing for you, Squirrel, Squirrel. Just a larva, Squirrel, Squirrel. Is this no longer good for you? Are the yummy peanuts, Squirrel, Squirrel? The yummy peanuts, Squirrel, Squirrel. Humphrey! Humphrey! Oh, Squirrel, Squirrel. Oh, peanut squirrel. Oh, Tigger's name to tell you. Tigger, be nice to the squirrel. Humphrey! Humphrey! Me squeak squirrel. Me squeak squirrel. That's it, squirrel, squirrel. The yummy wasp nest, squirrel, squirrel. You need to head off that hornet, squirrel, squirrel. Oh, you just ripped her out of there. yummy wasp larva and pupating adult squirrel squirrel. Oh, squirrel squirrel. Don't mind that chicken. Hey, squirrel squirrel. Be good, Tiggers. Be good, Tiggers. That's a nice squirrel squirrel. Oh, Tiggers, your name is Terry. Ooh. Thank you, Tiggers. Thank you, Tiggers. Oh, squirrel squirrel. Humphrey. Ouch.
Alright, so this is a European Hornet Nest that I had removed for a client a few videos ago. You can click the link up in the top right corner if you have not seen this removal video. So I removed the nest and brought it home to my house and decided to put it in the plexiglass sided box that I had made for my European Hornet Queen Adventure series. Never ended up using the box, so I decided to mount this nest in there, and this worked out perfectly. So I've had this nest in this box in the side of my barn for the last maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and they have been doing just absolutely phenomenal. So this sequence of images you're going to be seeing is a collection of images for weeks of filming. Obviously not all the footage that I gotten, so you're only going to be seeing bits and pieces here just as an update, but I will be doing an entire series just on this particular building and construction of this nest later on, probably in the winter time, once this nest meets its demise, so I can show from beginning to end. What you're going to be seeing here is a lot of building and a lot of different aspects of how the colony actually functions. So what you're seeing here at the bottom is all their waste. So they drop out larvae that are dying or have died, or something's wrong with them, or the queen removes them because their worker laid eggs or something. There's bald-faced hornet carcasses. There's ants. This is like its own little ecosystem. So there's flies in here, there's maggots, there's ants, there's dead bodies and carcasses, waste product from the wasps themselves, and it's phenomenal how all of this stuff goes together. People often ask if I can get shots of wasp building comb. Well, this is what's happening here. This particular wasp is actually molding the cells of a starting part of a comb patty, and I'm so excited to get these types of shots because I've been wanting to see how they build them. I know how they build them by study and research, but not by actually seeing it firsthand. So watching a European hornet actually laying the envelope into cell material is really cool to see. So she regurgitates that cellulose and saliva mixture and then molds it and mushes it with her mandibles to flatten it out and kind of pull it like kneading dough. And then her antennae glide along the surface of the comb as she's laying it, and that kind of tells her how far to go with it, which I think is just really cool. So this is probably about the end of week 1, week 2 maybe, and there's all this envelope that they're laying, and all of these comb that you're seeing here are all since I put it into the box, which is so cool. The queen right there has just laid an egg. She had her abdomen arched over into that edge of that cell, and then she laid an egg up in there. So these are 2 eggs that I was able to get good video of after she had laid them. Super cool to see that. This is like the middle to the end of week 2, and they have a significant amount of envelope. They have about 3 more comb patties laid on top of the last 2 comb patties that they had built, and it's incredible how fast they build them. So these 2 comb patties started separately, and then they joined them together as they developed them and got them bigger and bigger. So they don't quite match up 100%, but they actually turned one of the cells into like a little ladder chute to go between the layers, which is really neat. There's obviously a lot more adults inside of here now than what there were. They hatched out so many adult workers and things. And this is the bottom of the box now, which has a lot of soilage and things. Dead larvae are constantly dropped down in there, but they're gone within like a day and a half by the ants and the maggots that are down in the bottom. So this is an adult worker laying some envelope. I get some really good close-up shots of her mushing and molding that cellulose into paper. Every single line that you see, discolorated line, is representative of one wasp going out and chewing on cellulose, a fence post, rotting, decaying wood, flying back, all within like about 40 minutes, and then laying one tiny little strip of paper. So every one of those lines that you see, every discolorated line, is one wasp working its butt off for about an hour, roughly, just to come back and lay that little tiny neat line. It's really interesting to see. Really happy with these shots that I was able to get seeing this stuff. But if you notice that the antennae are really like moving around like little fingers, and just you can tell that that's sending signals to her brain as to where her head and mandibles should be moving. It's not really by eyesight from what I can tell. It's by touch with the tips of her antennae. She makes the same motion over and over again with those antennae that touch the sides of the envelope on either side, kind of like if you were putting your thumb and your pointer finger together and just feeling it like a feeler gauge. Obviously no ears on the adult wasps. Everything's by sensitivity and touch, and all those little tiny hairs on her body have a sensitivity to them, and she's able to sense the slightest of vibration. If I tap on that plexiglass, they all get all jittery, like as if they felt it, even if they're not directly touching the sides of the plexiglass. Look at these close-up shots. Look how malleable that cellulose looks as she molds it into the flat bit of the paper. Go ahead and say it. This is National Geographic quality. I'm so pumped with the quality that I was able to get from these videos. So this is about week 3. You can see they even have a bottom part of queen comb coming on here. And look at all the workers in there. Look how big these patties are. I mean, this is just blowing my mind how big it's getting. And the comb structure almost touches the 2 sides of the box. So this is the queen laying some more eggs. So she's laying, now these are going to become queens because these are larger cells. The only thing determines what's going to make a queen is by the cell that it's laid in. So if an egg is laid in a super large cell, as that larva develops, it can grow larger because it's in a larger cell, and she will then demand more food. She'd be fed more, and then as she's fed more, she grows bigger. And eventually she can develop her reproductive parts just because from the mere fact that she had a larger cell to grow in. The queen laying some more eggs. Some other shots that people always ask in my videos if I can get some shots of the queen laying eggs. You see she'll shove her abdomen all the way down to the very bottom of that cell and then lay the egg down in there. And then she'd been sitting there for about 15 minutes. And she's got the egg laid up inside of there. Abdomen comes out. Usually she pees right after she does that. Just like that. And then she'll search around and then go back in and lay some more eggs. So this adult worker here in the front, she is chewing up food and she's feeding it to a larva. So I'll zoom in on that so you'll be able to see her get the larva actually eating and digesting the food that the worker just gave her. I had this shot on this larva for about 10 minutes, and that little blob of brown food completely disappeared. So workers will go out and catch insects. They'll chew them up and break them down into smaller pieces, and then when they get into the nest, they share it with other workers. Those other workers will then mash it down even further into like a mush, and then that's what will be fed to the larva. So this is the most recent clip. So this is the nest as it is right now. It is super huge, and unfortunately, since the nest is getting larger and there's more adults inside, as they release their urine and their feces, it gets sprayed on the side of the plexiglass. So it's really hard for me to find a clear shot to go through to get good images. So unfortunately, they get kind of cloudy now, just because it's really hard to shoot through that even with the light on. So moving around to the other side of the box box has 2 plexiglass sides, so I can shoot from either side if I want to. This side's a little bit clearer than the other side, but it's not quite as a good angle as the other side is, unfortunately. So I don't shoot from this side all too often. But the numbers in there are just incredible.
You can see through this.
And the light doesn't seem to bother them all that much. I mean, they're very sensitive to light, and they like to fly to the light, especially if lights are on outside. But they don't seem to mind the light being shined up into the nest, as long as it's not on the highest setting. If it's on the highest setting, they all kind of get a bit anxious in there. So I usually have it on like the medium setting. But look how large and charged that nest is. And they don't bother me at all. I walk outside and they don't fly at me. They don't try to go near me or anything. It's a great colony.
Alright everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to check out the Hornet King channel. If you guys enjoyed this content, drop in the comments, let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions for future videos, something like to see me cover in an upcoming video, also drop in the comments, let me know. If you guys haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so and hit the bell notification down below. That way you guys get an update anytime I do post a video. Alright everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to check out this video and supporting my channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.